Hello again, everybody, and welcome to the Noble Crumb. My name is Jason. Today, I am going to share with you a recipe for a Canadian classic dessert, which is the Nanaimo Bar. Now, I understand a lot of people, viewers maybe in the United States and so forth, maybe have never tried these. These are something that all of us here in Canada grow up with. They are delicious, and the best part is you don't even have to bake anything. It's a 3-layered square, and it all just has to set up in your fridge, and they taste so delicious. So let's get to it. Here are the ingredients for our Nanaimo bars.
All right, so here's all the ingredients you're going to need for our Nanaimo bars. So we're going to start with the bottom layer. We're going to need a half a cup of unsalted butter, a quarter of a cup of white sugar, 5 tablespoons of cocoa powder, 1 egg lightly beaten, 1.5 cups of graham crumbs, 1 cup of sweetened coconut, and a half a cup of chopped walnuts. For the middle layer, we need a half a cup of unsalted butter, 2 cups of powdered sugar, 2 tablespoons of custard powder, a half a teaspoon of vanilla, 3 tablespoons of milk. And finally, for the top layer, we're going to use 1 cup of semi-sweet chocolate chips, 2 tablespoons of unsalted butter. We're going to let this chill for a minimum of 4 hours before we cut them, and that's everything you're going to need to make the Nanaimo bars. Alright, so to start with the bottom layer, I've got my medium-sized saucepan here, and over a medium-low heat, I'm going to add in my butter. And then to that, I'm going to add in my white sugar. Get that in there. Then we're going to add in our cocoa powder. Give this little mix, and I'm going to let this melt and come together. All right, now that everything is kind of melted together and it's all combined, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my egg here and we're going to give this a quick beat with just a fork or a little whisk. Get everything broken up, and then I'm going to slowly drizzle this into the chocolate mixture, whisk it together until it's fully combined, and then we'll let this cook over that medium-low heat for about 1 to 2 minutes just to cook that egg thoroughly, and then I'm going to remove it from the heat. And then we'll start adding in the rest of the ingredients for the bottom layer. All right, moving on to the bottom layer here, I've got my mixing bowl, and I'm going to add in my graham cracker crumbs, my coconut, and my walnuts. You can use almonds if you like as well. I just prefer the walnuts. And then we're going to take our melted chocolate mixture here. We're going to scoop this into it, and we're going to start combining it slowly together. I'll start it off with my spatula, start with a fork, and then I'll end up combining everything together at the end with my hands. Now that everything is nicely combined, I'm going to take my 9x9 square pan here. I have lined it with parchment paper, and I'm going to dump in our bottom layer, and I will press this down until it's even across the entire pan. Then I'm going to stick this aside, and we'll start working on the middle layer. All right, moving on to our middle layer here, I've got my mixing bowl, and to that I'm going to add my unsalted butter that is at room temperature, so just making sure that it's really, really soft. Once I get that in there, we're going to add in our custard powder. Custard powder you can find pretty much at any grocery store. Super simple, super easy. Put my 2 tablespoons in there. This adds a really good flavor and gives it that yellow color that a Nanaimo bar has. And then we will also add in our vanilla, just a little bit for added flavor. And finally, our powdered sugar. So pour all the powdered sugar in there, and then we're going to start beating this together with our milk, and we're going to combine this, scraping down the bowl as we go until it's a really nice and thick consistency. All right, so we're gonna take our bottom layer crust here in our pan, and we're gonna start putting on the middle layer with the butter, sugar, and custard mixture, and we're gonna put this on top. We're gonna smooth this all the way around, all the way to the edges. And once this is done, you can put this in the fridge, and we will start moving on to our final chocolate layer, which literally only takes a couple minutes, and then that's it, you're done. All right, so for the final chocolate layer, I've got a plastic container here that is microwave safe. To that, I'm gonna add my chocolate chips and my butter, and I'm gonna put this in the microwave in about 30-second blasts, giving it a mix every now and then until it is completely melted and smooth. All right, now that our chocolate and butter have melted all together, it's looking nice, smooth, glossy. We're gonna take this over to our squares, and we're gonna pour this on top. Once we get it on top, you're just going to spread it around with a spatula, making sure that it's as even as you can possibly get it. And literally, that is it. These are going to go in the fridge to set up for at least 4 hours. And then once they are set, we'll take them out of the fridge and we'll cut them up and take a look at what they look like. All right, so these have been in the fridge for about 5 hours. So the nice thing with having the parchment paper here is I can easily pull them out of the pan, and then I can just peel down the sides. Then I'm gonna take a large chef's knife here, and you can heat this with hot water as well to make the cutting a little bit easier. And then just put it through and slice it all the way down. You can cut this into any size squares that you'd like. I always will opt on the side of bigger, and I'm going to cut a bigger one here to show you, but this is probably the size that I would normally make them anyway. And take a look at those beautiful layers that we got there. The nice kind of golden yellow color in the middle and that chocolate on top. These are absolutely fantastic.
And that's it for my Nanaimo bar recipe. So I really want to hear from you guys if any of you have never had one of these before, because again, it's a very common dessert up here in Canada. But I know, again, it's not maybe that familiar where you guys are from. Let me know if you've had them, what your take on it, any changes you make to it, and let me know how this recipe works for you and what you guys think of it. I'm always curious to see what people around the world happened to think of some of our Canadian desserts. So, but that's everything I have here for you guys on the Noble Crumb. As always, like, comment, subscribe. I love hearing from you guys, and thank you so much for watching. Have a good day. Bye.